Okay, in this class we're going to go over how to set up your financial settings. So we're getting into the accounting integration of the site, and what we're going to do is start with financial under the settings. Now, in an earlier step, in order to unlock the rest of the catalog, we already set up the receiving payments section. Yours won't look like this. Yours will say Stripe integrated, and you should have a verification telling you that Stripe is successfully connected. If you don't, please follow the steps to be able to complete that. We won't be dealing with it in this section. Let's go through these financial management settings to better understand what they do and how they affect the rest of the site. You need to pick a default currency for your site. Users coming to your site will be purchasing in your currency. Make sure you get this right the first time because you can't change it later. Leaving it at unset will allow you and your customers just to assume a currency, but you will lack the identifier of USD, CAD, so on and so forth. Setting this now will apply this currency to every invoice you've had in your site. This setting helps clarify the currency the user is paying. The next setting is the default checkout flow. So you need to decide, are you going to allow your customers to have credit with you, or do you want them all to pay before you'll process the order? Now this is just a default for the whole site. Keep in mind that any customer can be designated as one of these at the customer level. So some people might start as a default pay before processing and then switch each of their customers to credit as they submit credit applications and prove their ability to pay. If you do select a credit limit, you'll need to set a default credit limit. Again, this is just the default, and every customer can be overridden at the customer level. Most companies will set the user credit limit and then set this to 0, which means COD. So the customer doesn't have to pay before they can submit the order, but they do have to pay before they receive the products. The default order limit sets a limit as to how much product a customer can order. You might not trust a brand new customer whom you've never met to order $1 million worth of product from you through the site. And because the site does have the option to automatically verify and order materials and automate things, you could potentially be putting yourself in a dangerous situation. Typically, this will be set somewhere around $5,000. And just like the credit limit, as the two companies build rapport with each other, this will be enhanced as it needs to be. The bounce check fee is an automatic fee placed if someone bounces a check. In the site, you'll be able to flag a payment as a bounce check, which will automatically make an invoice for whatever amount you put here. Then you need to select which interest accrual method you'd like to employ, end of month balance or daily balance. Most accounting systems use end of month balance, and at the end of a 30-day period will begin to charge interest to the balance of the invoice. And then you need to tell the system what APR you want the system to charge. Keep in mind that the system automatically creates finance charges as bills begin to age past when they're supposed to be paid. So the default status to charge customers is simply at what point in the process, at what status would you like to begin the clock ticking on an invoice. Most of the time this will be on shipped. The day that it ships out is the day that the invoice starts to age. The status to export a sales order, just like the one above it, is at what point would you like to build a sales order or send out a sales order. Some accounting software like QuickBooks likes a sales order independent of an invoice, and this simply tells it at what status you'd like that to happen. If you set this to verified, then every time a job is verified, it'll send it to the export sales order queue, which will then be sent to your accounting software. Allmoxy completely takes care of your sales tax, giving you a fully automated service that automatically figures out exactly how much to charge your customers no matter where they are and no matter how much the laws around you change. In order to do that, you need to set a sales tax presence. If you have a sales tax presence in more than one state, hold down Control to select those states. Finally, add your bank. Add as many as you need to. These are the names that the system will use in order to export out to your accounting software. Let's move on to the job costing section. Allmoxy has what are called normal online orders, and they also have what are called itemized orders. Let's take a quick look at what one of those looks like. An itemized order looks much like a normal order in that it has my products up here at the top, and this is where you would normally just order a product, but then you can collapse that section and also add labor, supplies, overhead, and other. So this is an internal tool that your employees can use if a simple online order doesn't suffice. On a side note, you can convert normal orders into itemized orders at the push of a button. The setting in question is this default markup, because what this is going to do is going to take your normal products and then it's going to mark up all of these items here. What do you want that to be defaulted to? Adding an average monthly labor hours allows the system to know exactly how much overhead to charge based on how many hours are available. Read through this explanation to get a better idea of the methodology used here. In the payroll section, set a pay period. Do you pay weekly, bi-weekly, semi, or monthly? And which day is your first day? The system uses this to be able to start and track your time. So if you go to your home page, you'll be able to see your time card, and this is empty, but you'd be able to see the hours worked. That setting sets this right. The payroll tax on hourly wages also helps in job costing purposes. It helps the system to know in the labor section how much it's going to cost you by the time it adds up the wages and the taxes. The statement editor allows you to customize the statements that are sent out to delinquent accounts. Using variables from the side and this rich editor, you can customize and create your own look and feel. And last but not least, overhead management. Again, overhead is used here in the itemized order section. When doing an order that's more complex than an online order, using the numbers described in labor, we can allocate a portion of all of these expenses, overhead or overhead items, to this order. And these items automatically come from here. Even though they can be edited at the order level, they'll default using these numbers. If you're going to use itemized orders, then put in all your overhead items so that the system can automatically start calculating overhead to each order. Again, this is only on itemized orders, not on normal online orders. Online orders are meant to have the profit and overhead built right into them. This is designed for things that aren't ordered online or aren't in your catalog. So tidy up these financial settings of anything you missed and get these set in stone so that we can move on to the next section.